The topic for today is Power of Symbolizing Your Gratitude. This message is for all entrepreneurs, including myself. We spend a lot of our time chasing leads, closing deals, marketing ourselves, but sometimes we need to go back to the most simple things in life, like thank you card, being grateful, but for some reason, we're not able to achieve this goal. We're too busy to send thank you card, or we don't have enough time to be grateful. So lucky for us today, we have our guest speaker, John Israel, aka Mr. Thank You. Hi, John.
Hey, how's it going? Great to see you.
Doing great. So John is on a mission to elevate the level of gratitude around the planet and trying to reach 74 million people to be inspired and send thank you cards all over the world. Correct?
Correct.
And your 74 million people, your goal is when do you want to achieve that goal?
That's a great question. We put the long term at 10 years, but I think if we hit a few things right, it could be done as quick as about 3 years.
I think you can. We have to help John, and we're going to tell you at the end how we're going to help you. My name is Jessica Crombaugh. If you don't know who I am owner of a nationwide company called Allison James Estates and Homes. We are in 15 states. What do I do every day? My goal is to help real estate agents to gain knowledge, bring value without breaking the bank. Now, first question, John, can you tell everyone what's the Mr. Thank You Project is?
Yeah, so the Mr. Thank you for that. The Mr. Thank You Project really began as a personal social experiment to see what might happen if I spent an entire year writing 5 thank you cards every day for 365 consecutive days. And really, this was just something to work on myself because by trade, I am a gratitude salesman. So professionally, I help people say thank you. So, and how that looks is I consult businesses and companies, in the real estate market, especially to help pick out the right gifts for their clients. And there was just this stage, and I think a lot of us get to in our business where, we're working, we're grinding, we're creating something, but we're not really sure what we're creating anymore because we've gotten so busy. And it's kind of funny because if you would go out and ask 100 people, this is about 2 years ago that this started. If you ask 100 people who know John Israel, what do you know about him? They might say some great stuff, but I don't think they would use the word grateful or appreciative, probably not even happy to describe me. Driven and successful, definitely, but happy and grateful, probably not. So I thought that was a really inconsistent thing. How can I be this guy who's touting from the rooftops, to be grateful and express appreciation to your clients, yet I'm not embodying that myself. And so I was just really seeking to find something that allowed me to experience and express more gratitude in my life. And I had a really profound experience of, watching my wife right after we had our first son take on this challenge for about 2 months. She wrote like roughly 1 thank you card every day and was giving them out to friends and family. And even though she was a new mom, I just saw how profoundly this impacted her attitude and her energy. And also to see how much love came back into our family and our life from our community was really kind of inspiring. So I thought, okay, well, I'm a big, I took the masculine form, which is to make a challenge out of it. And I was like, well, how long can I do that? How many cards can I write every day? So I thought, 5 cards would be a really good challenge to stick to for a day, for an entire year. And that's what I did. So October 10th of 2016, I started writing 5 thank you cards every day. And on October 9th of 2017, I completed my project. And that's when really kind of the global movement started to take off because we got some publicity on the project that was a little unexpected, and wrote the book on the experience, did a TED Talk on it. It just really kind of blew up unexpectedly. And so right now we're just kind of serving the world by helping people make gratitude a habit. And there's just a ton of stories and experiences I had for that year that were just really life-changing.
So like you just said, make it a habit, because being grateful is free, right? And writing thank you note doesn't really take a lot of time, but for some reason, a lot of people don't do it. Why is that?
Well, and it's funny because what I wrote in the book was there's this time where I just realized I was too busy to be grateful. Like I had to tell myself that, like I should write a thank you card, but I was like, I'm too busy. And I literally caught myself saying, I'm too busy to be grateful. That's not right. I'm not making enough. I'm not. Would say what I sometimes tell myself as a litmus test. I'm not making enough to be as busy as I say I'm being, as I say I am. So, and also, it's not about being busy. It's not all about making money. You know, I make great money in my work. It's about, you know, that experience of really enjoyment and in what you do, and it, it's kind of like one of those things that I recommend people, like, you know, you you don't have to do what I did. Writing 5 every day. A lot of times after I speak at an event, people are like, "Oh, I'm going to do that. I'm going to write 5 every day." My reaction is don't. Like it's really hard to do that. I mean, in total, it was 1,825 thank you cards that I wrote for a year, and that went out to, you know, clients, employees that I have, went out to pilots on the flights that I was in. I wrote them to flight attendants, wrote them to politicians. Actually, got one back from Barack Obama. Wrote them to pro sports teams and players that I really valued and appreciated, people who own companies that I cared about. And what I can tell you is you don't have to do that many, but if you committed to writing like one a day for a year or even just 30 days straight, you'll notice the difference. Yeah.
Yeah, just being consistent. No matter what you decide, just take a low number, but be consistent with that number, even if it's just one a week. It's
Yeah.
better. And like you said, people don't have time. So does it mean they don't have time to care about people? So they do need to rethink about that, because for business and personal life, it's really about relationship. Do you think, like, I know I do handwriting note, but I know one of the fear I had in the past before I did it was because I had a horrible handwriting. What do you think?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I think that's where probably some of the services come out that you know, that people can utilize. I know Bond is one that I actually recently received a thank you card from an old mentor of mine who saw what I was doing, and he's like, "Hey, I got this great program," because he's like a, you know, C-level guy at a recruiting firm, and amazing dude, and he was like, "Yeah, I got this thing because I just don't like my handwriting. I don't know if it necessarily looks good." So he sent me this card, and basically you just it's this app. You type in what you want to say, and then it's this pen used by a machine that writes it out and sends it to you. You know, I'm okay with that as long if it's a difference of you doing it and not, then go ahead and use the machinery. I think personal handwriting is like, it's kind of like level like 10, like that's the best you can do. But at the same time, if someone's really like if it's going to hold you back from writing a card, another option is literally to type out the letter and then to hand sign it. Because that way it actually legitimately shows you took the time and put some intelligent thought into saying, use something personal that they're going to get. This is not just a form letter you wrote to everybody, but this is something that you genuinely meant directed to them. That's what's key.
Well, bond was one of my question, and maybe I'm a little bit old school, and I'm like, well, no, if you use a computer, it doesn't come from the heart. So that was my personal thought. So what do you think about bond? You think it's okay to use bond because you can do more card at the time?
Well, it's a yeah, it's a good question. I mean, whatever is going to get it done. I mean, that's for starters. I mean, for example, for a while before I did the Mr. Thank You project, I had my assistant doing them for me, and I basically pre-created you know, like 3 different thank you cards for different situations. So, you know, if I was in real estate, I would have one for like post-listing presentation. Then I would have one for, you know, maybe you know, we're under contract. You know, I might have one for, hey, we've closed, and I'm going to give you. I mean, this is the card we give always with a closing gift, right? So, like having certain things that I had put in place that I would just give to my assistant, she would fill out and start giving those out for me. That worked great for about 6 months until I found out she was spelling my name wrong. Like I'm not even kidding. I got an email from one of my clients, and she owns an insurance company, and she sent me an email, and she says, hey, because I was like, you know, 25 at the time and just, you know, out there running crazy selling stuff, and she just says, hey John, I just want to congratulate you on how well you're doing, because I can tell you're obviously not writing your own thank you cards.
Oh, no.
And I was like, oh. Now, fortunately, she used it as a teaching moment. You know, she's like, the only way I found out was because she also included your business card, which had your name spelt, I'm going to assume, correctly. And I was like, dang it. So, you know, there's no perfection there. It was a little embarrassing, but and since then I kind of just committed, I'm just going to do this myself. And that's where, you know, a little bit into where the Mr. Thank You project kind of evolved.
Yeah, I think once you have a system, really 10 minutes, you can get 5 thank you cards. I don't think it takes more than that, 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah. And then just to, give you an example of how valuable this can be, and I'll give you a real life scenario that I think some of you guys can relate to. So, out of 100 escrows you put in place, you don't close 100 escrows, right? Like just something happens, people fall through, loans don't approve, any number of things happen. So I was, in my very early career working for, the Cutco company, Cutco knives. I remember I was 19 years old. It was my first summer selling the product, and I sat down with a customer, and I did a great demo. We had a lot of fun. I got to know her well. I learned about her kids and her family and her parrots that she loved, and like things that you learn when you're sitting down with a customer in their kitchen as you get to see their life, right? And I just had a great time, and she wound up buying some stuff, and that was nice. And then 24 hours later, she calls me to tell me she has to cancel her order. And I was really bummed, and I was like, okay, sure. But no one had ever canceled anything on me in my life. And so I took it really personally, and I'm like, is there something that I did wrong? Like, what happened? And I was still thinking about it like 24 hours later. And I was like, okay, I don't know why, but I feel like I just need to send her a thank you card, just thanking her for her time. And by the way, this wasn't a normal part of my life. It was kind of a fluke that I even thought of this, but I just felt really compelled to. So I wrote her a card that basically just said, hey, Cynthia, I just wanted to say, her name was Cynthia. I wanted to let you know, I know you had to cancel your order, and that's fine, but I just wanted to let you know that regardless of that, or regardless, I just want to let you know how much I appreciated getting to meet you, getting to know you, talking about your kids and your family. And, you may or may not be in the market for Cutco down in the future. If you ever are, I'm happy to help. And just want to let you know, I really enjoyed our time together. And that was it. I sent it out to her, never heard anything back. 2 years later, I'm sitting in my college dorm room, and, I'm still working for Cutco at that time. And I get this call, and it's this woman, and she says, is this Cutco John? That's how everyone knew me. Is this Cutco John? I was like, yeah, this is Cutco John. She's like, well, you might not remember me, but my name is Cynthia Blackman. And, I tried to buy some knives from you several years ago, but I had to cancel, and I'm ready to order now. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's great. Like, I'm happy to help. So she has a list, and she just like runs down this massive list of all this stuff she wants, which is literally 3 times more than her first order. And I was kind of blown away, and I'm just like filling out this order form. I'm like, okay. And then she says, John, do you know why I'm calling you right now? And I said, I actually don't. She says, well, back when I tried to buy that Cutco, I had to cancel for a reason I couldn't tell you, which was that I was just diagnosed with cancer. And I found out that I was going to have to leave my job, and my boys were going to have to move in with me to help pay the rent and pay the bills. And so I physically couldn't order the product and keep it. So when I got your card in the mail, I just really saw how much you cared about me more than you cared about the sale. And I knew in that moment, I told myself, when I get healthy, I'm going to call this guy. I'm going to buy as many knives as I can from him. And that's what she did. And that blew me away as a lesson in how do we treat people. Because as soon as you treat people like a number, or they feel like they're being treated like a number, they start to treat you like a number, and they shop you around. They find who's going to give them a better split, who's going to do the listing for 5% or 4%, or put it on some other online listing company, right? We want to get into that. And they'll do that because they feel like a number. And if that's the case, then just go somewhere else. People actually don't even mind paying more if they feel taken care of. And it's not like a call to charge more, it's a call to care more. And that was such a big lesson that I think just stuck with me during my career in sales, that people need to be treated higher above profits, and your business will thrive. And that was just an example. And I think, like, if you look in your business, where are areas where I can include a thank you card to personalize, to bring some humanity to the connection with this other human being, you will create really amazing relationships. Thank you cards just happen to be a great vehicle to do that. And I think what's so valuable is that they're so rare nowadays. And that's what's unique about it.
It is. I know I haven't received that many thank you card in my life, but when I receive one, I'm very emotional with it. I will even keep it for probably 6 months next to my desk. Just a simple thank you card. I will trash all the mail, but the thank you card will just stay on my desk for 6 months. I think it has a really big effect on people. Now, do you think being grateful and setting this thank you card is helping you in your business and your personal life in general, besides helping others?
Yeah, that's a great question, by the way, because there's a part of my book that I wrote called the ROI of gratitude. So, what's the return on investment by making your gratitude as a habit in your life and in your business? Now, number one, just on the pure emotional health component and emotional management, gratitude as a tool, like making gratitude a habit, just you feel better, you perform better, you're more effective in your work because you're in a better state. All right, that's one. Two is just in the repeat business that comes in. I remember sending a guy, a client who ordered a decent amount of product for himself and his business. I sent him a thank you card with a joke from our interaction of like what I thought was really funny, and then he literally calls me 3 days later to say, hey, you know what? I got your card. It made me laugh. And I realized, I think that maybe we should do gifts for this other company that I'm partners with my brother and my dad. And then they wound up doing another order literally 4 times larger than the one they just placed a week ago. And I think there's something there that just kind of increases trust when they can see you're willing to take the time for that. But as an interesting stat, and I couldn't tell you this stat until after the year was over, but there's a number that we all know in our business, which is cancellation ratios. If you work at Macy's, you know roughly that approximately 10 to 15% of every article of clothing is returned back, because that's just the nature of anything that is purchased, and no one keeps everything forever. So same thing with an escrow. We talked about that. Out of 100 escrows, you might have 5 or 10 fall through. That's just the nature of doing business. So the point is that what I learned was my ratio with cancellations with my business gift orders was around 5%. Which is actually pretty good for our company nationwide. And what blew me away is that I had when at the end of the year, I went through my numbers again, and that dropped to 2.5%. It cut my cancellations in half. And that's just my commissions. And I know I make good money, but I don't make as much per deal as a realtor. And I thought, wow, what if that was scaled out for other businesses? If someone could actually reduce their cancellations by 50%, what is the actual monetary value? And maybe that's something to consider for yourself. Take the last year of your business and how many deals fell through. Well, what if only half of those fell through? How much more money would you have made? Maybe if you're not doing as many deals, consider the last 2 years combined. How much would that scale out to? And I'm not saying that this is what's going to happen for everybody, but I'm saying it happened for me, and it was a direct aid because there's nothing else that I changed in my business except adding thank you cards to every single transaction that I closed. And that's a huge impact when you think about scaled over time.
It is. Now, what about promoting your business with the thank you card? Yay or nay? Do you think the thank you card should just be about being grateful about that person and not mixing the business with it? Or do you think like adding a marketing piece to it can help the business? What's your thought on that?
Yeah, it's a great question. I would say it's very important to keep it distinct, because if it gets too marketing, if it gets too impersonal and it's business focused, then it becomes a piece of marketing. But if it's personal, then it's actually a connection tool. So I'll give you an example of how you can utilize both to kind of work with your business and actually support. I don't think thank you cards are necessarily something to do on the front end of like prospecting. I don't know. I mean, I guess if someone's farming an area, if you want to include it with a little pop by gift and a little handwritten note, sure, that's not a bad idea. Here's what I'll give you as an example. So with the reduction in cancellations. So every time and how I'd relate this to real estate. So every time I finished a transaction, there's roughly for us, we have an approximate 15-day window where someone may or may not cancel a sale. And so for me, it was really important that immediately after the contract was signed or whatever they purchased, that we sent that thank you card right away. And what I put in there was, to the effect of, hey, Mrs. Klein, I just wanted to thank you for your business. I know you have a lot of options in where you can spend your money, and you could just spend it on any type of gifts, but you spent it with me. And I just want to let you know how grateful I am for that. And I also really enjoyed meeting you and talking about XYZ. And then I also just want to say, hey, if you ever have any questions, problems, or when you're ready for more, give me a call and I'm happy to help. So I made it really subtle. And here's what was interesting about that is because of that last little sentence, when I stated if you have any questions, problems, or when you're ready for more, give me a call. That's a really key indicator, because what that does is, number one, by getting the letter, they experience this, okay, this guy's normal. He's a human. He's not just some marketing machine that I'm not going to get a hold of and I'm only going to talk to his assistant. He's actually a person. And so then there is this human part. And then I also stated, hey, if you have any questions, any problems, or when you're ready for more, whatever, that's my little funny thing, give me a call. So what was funny is that I had several people that maybe would have canceled, but called to say, hey, John, I had a quick question about this issue that might be coming up, or I'm a little unsure about this. Can you explain that? And because there was this level of trust, they felt comfortable expressing their true questions and concerns. If you've ever had a buyer get cold and then you don't know why, there was some level of disconnection where they didn't fully trust something about the interaction, and they just don't talk about it. But when they feel like they can trust you, they feel like they can be open, that's when they tell you the truth. And that's where I think that thank you cards are valuable. As far as like a marketing piece, just make some funny marketing and put your face on top of a house or whatever. I don't know. That's marketing. Do that. If it's going to be a thank you card, use it as a relationship building tool to create more human connection with another person. And that's where it's going to benefit your business.
So you mean finishing the card with an action is a good thing, right? Because you don't ask them to take an action, but I think having the question mark or said, hey, feel free to reach out to me. That's a way to market, but that's also a way to be there for them no matter what.
Yeah. And I'll give you another really simple cue. This is totally a free tip that, obviously I'm in the gifting world, and there's a really unique thing that I learned about how to, like you just talked about, using a letter to cause or create action. So here's a simple tip. So I would always write a handwritten card with my gift. And what I recommend clients is you can give it to them on closing day, but if you bring a little strategy to it, it's actually better if you mail the gift to them with a little handwritten card. And then here's why. So you send them the gift because, number one, closing day is crazy. It's totally just, they're nuts. If you gave them a gift, they'll forget what you gave them immediately. It'll get packed in a box. It'll get lost. Like, that's just the truth. I'm in the industry. That's what happens. So here's what we learned is if you take a little time after the closing, you send them the gift in the mail and they receive it. But what you have this handwritten card that says, hey, like one of our products, for example, is Cutco knives. So I might say like, hey, Julie, just wanted to say, really appreciated your, getting to represent you and purchasing your first home. I like to give my clients the gift of Cutco knives because you're literally going to have them forever. They're the best knives possible. And I had them branded. So in case you ever need to get a hold of me, let me know. Oh, by the way, would you mind giving me your ring when you receive this so that I know it showed up okay? And so you put that elicitation right there, or you put that note right there because then it elicits a call. So then here's what you do. If you're intelligent about this and you have a plan to it, you send the gift, they receive the note, they get a prompt to call you. They call because they want to be polite and say, oh, hey, we got the gift. Thank you so much, yada, yada. And you're like, oh, hey, that's so great. Hey, by the way, since I have you on the phone, do you mind if I take a quick second to get you set up for a few things now that you're in the property? And they're like, yeah, sure. What's up? Okay, cool. So here's one of the things that's interesting is that once someone moves into a property, a lot of times they find out that a lot of their friends are moving or considering moving as well. So if that conversation comes up, would you mind introducing me or referring me to them? Okay, great. Excellent. And then, hey, something else that's going to happen is you might get marketing literature from other people who want to list your property or any of that kind of stuff. Hey, as your realtor, just always check with me first so I can make sure to give you all the correct information. And then lastly, we're trying to do a lot of, work on our online presence. We're trying to get a lot of representation on Zillow. Have you heard of Zillow? So, hey, if I sent you a link to do a review of our job working together, would you mind doing that? And they're always like, no, that's fine. I can do that. Okay, great. I'll send that over. Hey, that's it. Hope you guys enjoy the home. Take care. And then that's it. So now that is a very powerful conversation that if you make an intentional habit of doing that with every closed deal that you have, that's going to, number one, increase your referrals. That's going to increase your online research. And it's also going to prevent you from losing clients to competitors who are marketing to them immediately when they move in the property. So that's where my mind comes into place of like, where is a thank you card powerful for marketing? It's not as the marketing tool. It's the tool to elicit a response to create a conversation, which is where you show up because you're the salesperson.
Now, of course, for the audience, if you have any question for John, just go ahead and type your question. We are live. I have a couple more questions, but feel free to just type your question. Now, do you ever run out of people to thank?
That's a great question. So in my project, it's kind of funny because when you write 1,800 thank you cards, that's a lot of people to appreciate. So that started by I made a list of 350 people I knew I wanted to write a card to. It was like my top 10% of my clients, my favorite referral partners, my family, mentors, coaches, people I've had in my life. And then what I did was I left it up to inspiration every day. And so an example of that was I was boarding a plane and I was, thinking about, okay, well, who do I want to appreciate today? Which is kind of an interesting filter to live your day. Is who do I want to appreciate? Because when you think about how do we normally go through our day, if you watch the news or just check your Facebook feed, I mean, good Lord, I mean, it's everyone's got an opinion and it's usually not positive. So by going through with this filter of who can I acknowledge and appreciate, I mean, that's a life changer right there in what you focus on. So I boarded this plane and I thought, okay, I'm going to write a thank you card to the pilots on the plane. And so I get the names from the flight attendants. I sit down and I write a note. And it's an interesting thing because how do you appreciate someone that you've never met? It's an interesting question. So I sat down and I wrote this out and I said, hey, dear pilot, it might be strange to receive a thank you card from a passenger, but I just wanted to let you know that as I was boarding this plane, I thought about how much I miss my family. And I realized how much you probably miss yours because this is your job. Every single time you're flying, you probably miss family events, important dates, really for us as the passengers. And on top of that, this has probably been a dream job for you. No one becomes a pilot by accident. So, I just thank you for all the time and energy you put into becoming great at your job and your craft. And then also, I just wanted to, say thank you for getting us home safely because every time I fly, I pray for safe travel. And to date, you guys have 100% delivered. So you have thousands of lives at your fingertips every day. So whether you hear this enough or not, thank you. And I wrote that letter and I gave it to two pilots on that flight. It was there was two legs of my flight. So I did this twice. So I gave out a combined 4 thank you cards in that, couple hours time. Yeah. So there's 4 different ones. So here's the funny thing though. I wrote these on business stationery because that's what I had at the time. And I put my name, my cell phone, and my email already printed on. So here's what got crazy. I wrote these cards, and as I left the plane, I go off to this event, I do my thing. Within 24 hours, 3 out of the 4 pilots personally emailed or texted me to thank me for the card that they received. And one went on to say, you know what, John, in my 12 years of flying, I have never received a thank you card from a passenger. And that blew me away because this is a guy who's got such an important job, and he's not even getting thanked for what he does. And I thought, if it's like that for him, what about everybody else in their jobs, in their relationships, in their family? I mean, there's a big need here for people to be acknowledged and appreciated. So I think, a challenge I might throw out there is, feel free to do a little bit of anonymous gratitude to someone that you see doing something good. And, if you put it on some business stationery and whatever, I don't think you need to put your business card in there, but it's kind of interesting to see, number one, how do you feel after you write it? And number 2, if you hear back from somebody, how does that make you feel? And that might be just writing to someone who's like a friend or someone who's close to you and your family. It's really remarkable to see how the reactions positively influence your life.
I think people need to start switching their mind about being always entitled of something and look at the other way. Example with that guy you send a card, well, being grateful that just we are alive, because that's a high risk he takes every day. But here we are complaining about being on time because we have family picking us up.
Right. And then, by the way, here's a great distinction on definitions. And this I think might help everybody with understanding gratitude and really the value, like how it relates to what we're talking about with thank you cards. So the best definition I found for the word gratitude is the emotion one feels when you receive a gift or experience something as a gift. So what that means is, like you said, there's this emotion of entitlement. I feel I deserve this. I worked hard. I deserve to have this closing. Do you know how much effort I put into this and yada, yada, yada? And we feel like entitled. And then something happens and it's not going to happen. It's like, oh my God, that I don't deserve this, whatever. So there's that. That's what entitlement looks like. And gratitude is like, man, you know what? There are so many agents that they could have chose. There really are. Like, I don't think any of us can deny that. And they chose me. Like, that's almost, you can perceive that as a gift. Like, you didn't need that, but you received it. They chose you as their agent, or in general, an experience that happened in life. You can develop gratitude in challenging times by choosing to shift the perspective and just ask the question, where is the gift in this experience? What is the lesson I'm learning that's going to benefit me long term? What are some unforeseen gifts in this experience that maybe I'm not present to right now in the moment? And it's easy, by the way, to look back in the past and look at challenges or maybe breakups in relationships that in the moment were the worst thing ever. But now we can have the proper perspective and say, man, wow, that's a good thing, right? That's a good thing that ended when it did, or that escrow fell out because that client was a nightmare or whatever. So the point is that's a great definition of gratitude, because if you're ever in a state where you're feeling like annoyed, frustrated, or whatever, just a simple tool to shift the attitude is, where is the gift in this experience? If I wanted to be grateful, what could I be grateful for in this moment? Who could I appreciate? And part of it is noticing it. And if you want to take it at a deeper level, if you can include and incorporate some type of, if you can give somebody a thank you card, it kind of anchors the emotion and that experience deeper, so that it actually lasts longer. There's positive psychology research behind that. I don't think we have time for it now, but I'll stop there.
Yeah, I mean, the gift of being grateful is on every situation. You just gotta decide if you want to find that gift or if you want to avoid it. Now, I've been around like 2 or 3 people who works for Cutco, and you are all great. I mean, every time, Eric Gilman and even you, like, first impression, you're always positive and you guys are always grateful and smiling and happy. Is it part of your training, or I know like Eric, when he walk in a room, he's just very inspiring, his stories or everything he does around him. And you are the same with all this like thank you card. You are inspiring me, to get better at it. Is that a part of Cutco training, or just the great people go over there?
Yeah, that's funny. We have some really delicious Kool-Aid. That's what you drink. You walk in on day 1 of training. They're like, here's your Kool-Aid. Yeah. And then here's your training manual. Memorize every word here. Here's what it is that I would say. Because I mean, in general, it's like any company, you're going to have some people who are super excited that are awesome and great to deal with, and some that are not. I think in general, the ones that are great do stick around with Cutco because the culture is very much like that. But I think really where that culture comes from is that we have the big culture is personal growth and personal development. And so they encourage people, like, a lot of people start selling Cutco when they're like 18, 19, because it's predominantly a college student job, which is when I started 16 years ago with the company. But the point is that they encourage people at a young age to read personal development books. I mean, I was 20 years old and I read How to Win Friends and Influence People. By the way, I was not a business or marketing major. My degree is kinesiology. I was going to be a physical therapist one day, but I just needed to sell knives to pay for school. And so they were like, hey, if you want to sell more knives, then you should read this book. And I'm like, okay. So I read this book and actually I learned how to connect better and have the book. It's called How to Win Friends and Influence People. It's kind of a cheesy title, but it was written like in the 30s or something like that. But it's a phenomenal book. It was just on basic people skills. And that blew my mind. And then, they encourage people to go to personal development seminars like Tony Robbins or Landmark Forum or different things, because they know that they want independent thinkers who are self-motivated. And if you force everything, on people and they don't get to choose how they grow, then I think it stifles growth. But if you just inspire them and say, hey, if you work harder and learn more and grow more, you're going to make more and it's going to serve you long term. And we're like, okay, how do I do that? Well, here's some things that you can go do. Okay, awesome.
Now, how can someone participate to Mr. Thank You Project?
Yeah, that's a great question. So here's a funny thing. So I was writing all these thank you cards, and I had this kind of random experience where have you heard of Pop Sugar?
No.
It's an online blog. It's a predominantly women's blog. I had never heard of it, but they reached out to me at a couple months into the project, and they wanted to feature me for an article. And they're like an online women's blog with like 3 million followers, and I was like, holy cow, okay, sure. And then from that, it wound up getting picked up on ABC News. And then I wound up being on Fox News with the project. And crazy stuff started blowing up. And then I started getting messages from people who are like, oh, I loved your story. I started making gratitude a habit. I committed writing 1 card every day. There's another guy that I met who runs a business out of Colorado. And I talked to him a few months ago and he's like, yeah, man, after I met you, I love what you're doing. I've written 500 thank you cards since we've met. And I'm like, holy crap. Like, I didn't realize people were really connecting to this so well. And what I learned is it's kind of like with business, when you have a model, it's like, is the model duplicatable? and that's where some like workout routines, when they get really when they get so complex, it's hard to duplicate. Thank you cards are a really simple thing that most of us are familiar with and that everyone can do. And it does make a difference. It has an impact. So this guy said, hey, you should really create a website where you can track all the thank you cards that you're inspiring around the world. And I said, you're right. So we built this thing from scratch. It's called mrthankyou.com. And it's actually how we're tracking all the thank you cards that we're sending around the world. So if you go to that page, Mr. Thank You, just MR Thank You, no dot, mrthankyou.com, you'll see this big map of the world, and it shows all these cards kind of flying around. And those are actual Mr. Thank Yous and Miss Thank Yous and the cards that they've sent around the world because we track it. You create an account for free, and you literally just put the names of who you've sent the cards to, the date you sent it, and their zip code if you know it. And then suddenly you're part of our global gratitude map, and you're part of the mission and the journey. It's really, really cool. We built it from scratch just a few months ago, and we've already got several thousand thank you cards on there. So it's pretty cool.
I think you're like over 3,000. I was looking at it this morning.
Yeah. We got some work ahead of us, but this is fun. I appreciate opportunities like this from people like you who care about getting good word out to people, and that's really all we're trying to do is just help people make gratitude a habit. We don't even sell anything yet. I mean, we'll probably bring out thank you cards at some point, but honestly, we're just about getting this mission out to people because we think that it matters. And honestly, the big thing is I'm an advocate for client loyalty and client appreciation. So whatever is going to serve you in your business, whether you buy a gift from me or you start writing more thank you cards because you see value in it and that serves your business, whatever. I just want your clients to love you more and stay loyal to you long term.
You have a book that just came out, is that correct?
Correct. Yeah. So the book just launched a couple weeks ago. It's called The Mr. Thank You Project, a journey to elevate the level of gratitude on the planet, one card at a time. And just a quick plug for that. If you, it chronicles the whole experience, the whole journey. There's a lot of stories we didn't really get to today that the book basically is all encompassing of. And what I will also say is if you order the book and you like it for yourself, something that the way that I designed this, because I am a gratitude salesman, right? So that's my role. I like to look for things that are easy to give away that deepen relationships and elevate gratitude. So I have a special pricing on it if someone wants to order bulk for all of your clients, your pop by gifts for your referral partners. So if you buy the book and like it, and you want to order a bunch more, let me know because I do bulk rate discounting for that. And it is designed. I literally wrote this to be the best thank you card you've ever given somebody. That's how I designed it.
We can find it on your website. Right?
Yeah, well, you can just go to Amazon to order the book. Really simple. Mr. Thank You Project on Amazon. Order the book. If you do want to order them in bulk, you do have to reach out to me through my website, or my email is go to john@mrthankyou.com, john@mrthankyou.com.
And everyone, if you want to reach John, we will have his website on the post, correct? And we can add, is that okay if we add your email?
Yeah, absolutely.
We can add your email, and we will add the link of your website. John, thank you for being here today.
Yeah, this is fun. Thanks for having me.
Yes, thank you for sharing all your tips with all our agents out there. Bye-bye. Bye, John.
Adios.